Welcome back to BLOCKTV. It's time now for Chain Breakers. And today we have a critical story for those who care about the security in the sphere. A new report from crypto wallet firm Zengo has revealed that QR code generators, a useful application for those not eager to remember a long string of letters and numbers, have been used for a myriad of scams. For more on this story, I speak with research author and co-founder of Zengo, Tal Be'eri. Tal, thanks so much for joining us.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right, so just start us off. Talk us through this scam. What's happening here? What's the concern?
Okay, so it's very, very simple. In fact, it's even almost dead simple, I would say. QR code is like the next gen barcodes, and if you are into crypto, you probably have used that every once in a while. And QR just encodes your address and in some format also the transaction details, and just encodes them in a way that is easily readable by a scanner and not humanly readable, which is the core issue here. And we found out that when you look up in Google search, like the 4 out of the first 5 results you get for QR code generator, Bitcoin QR code generator, are in fact scammy. And instead of encoding the address you want, they put in the address they want and they control. And eventually, when you provide it to your friend or your customer to pay for you, the money ends up in the scammer's wallet and address.
Well, I mean, this really is, as you say, dead simple. It's just a classic bait and switch. Here's your QR code. Oh, exactly. Whoops, no, it's not. Now your money's been sent elsewhere.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for better or worse, with the immutable nature of blockchains, pretty difficult to get your money back in these situations.
Yeah.
Is anything being done to rectify this? Now, your article was released August 29. Mm-hmm. We've already had a few days since then. Has Google or any others taken actions to remove these scammy platforms from their top search results?
So we sent something to Google. Maybe it's not important enough for them to put their focus on it, but I'm sure they'll get to it eventually. But currently, from the Google perspective, everything is the same. You press the same, you type the same search query, and you get the same results. One good thing that happened, some threat intelligence service had included these addresses in their offering, like there's all kinds of add-ons, and now they are blocked for users of that services. Another thing that changed from the original report a few days ago is that some of the scammers had changed their addresses. So we don't know for sure if it's as a result of our research or it is just routine thing they're doing to keep changing their addresses. But it also means that we only see the tip of the iceberg with respect to money lost there, because we just have a snapshot of the current address that were used. And if they keep rotating and changing their addresses, these scammers, then their loot is spread around many addresses.
So there's no way really to know the depth at which they're getting rewards from this this scam, which I guess again is very cheap, very easy for them to set up, low sort of risk on their part, high potential for reward. And now, I mean, I guess this addresses a big problem here with so many new users entering the crypto sphere, with so many less sophisticated users who maybe don't understand or haven't done the research into the sort of details of how all elements of cryptocurrencies work. This issue of the way wallets are formatted now, not very user-friendly, the interface is difficult, and as you say, maybe good for machines, but bad for humans.
Exactly, and this is one of, I think, one of the core problems of our industry, and something we must solve if we want to bring mass adoption. And usually we talk about it in the context of the address itself, this long line of hexadecimal and all kind of base 64 letters, which is not humanly readable. And there are all kinds of solutions that try to solve that. But I think this research highlights another problem, is that QR codes are also not humanly readable, and more specifically, they are not recognizable. You don't have to be able as a human to decipher and to decode this QR code, but you should be able to identify what is your QR code, the QR that you generated, or a malicious, scammy QR code. And I think this is an interesting area of research and definitely something we're going to look into in our product.
Okay, so talk about, I mean, you mentioned that there are possibilities. Can you talk about what some of the options that we know of now that exist, both for the number-based hexadecimals and also for the QRs? Like, what sort of options are there for users, even if they're not implemented yet?
Okay, so there are all kind of efforts around that, but for addresses, it's mostly around name services. Ethereum has their ENS, Ethereum name services, and there are all kind of protocols that are trying to create a humanly readable address that works very similar to DNS. In the early days of the internet, you needed to type the IP address of the site you are browsing to, and it's not something that is relevant for for the average user. And then DNS came, and now I'm just Googling and typing www. whatever I want and go in there. I don't need to remember the technical details. So this kind of suggestion is came for addresses, and I think eventually that's what will happen. I don't know which offer will win, but eventually we will have some system that has humanly readable strings that correlates to your identity or your fake identity. It doesn't matter, but something you can recognize and people that send to you can recognize that it's yours. And for QR, I think the market is still very much much more pristine, maybe, and not many solutions, but there are all kinds of projects trying to create images that are at least recognizable by their creator. And even though you cannot see and decipher every digit and every letter, but you can tell if this is your address depicted in this QR code or other visual illustration or someone else.
So if I'm to imagine this, am I going to have a nice pretty dragon design logo as my QR code in the future? I mean, is that the sort of vision of in the longer term, or some personalized image, something you can relate to and go, okay, at least I have a rough idea that this is mine? Exactly,
and you can think of it like every letter would be a different characteristic of this dragon. I like dragon, by the way.
Please, feel free to take it.
Maybe we can do something like a Game of Thrones themed.
Pick your house.
Exactly, pick your house, then your character, then the color of the cloak and dagger and okay, and drink and whatever. So it's very easy for you to tell if someone is changing that. You don't necessarily need to yourself to decipher that. And I think generally we need to think, because I think since all blockchain was created by mathematicians and programmers, so we always think what would be easy for machines.
Right.
We don't think enough about our users. And this is something we have to change as an industry, and this is something we put a lot of emphasis on in Zengo, how the normal person that doesn't know about cryptography, computer science, so on and so forth, you know, your mom and dad or even your grandmother can use that easily and be sure that they are not being scammed and it doesn't look intimidating and so on and so forth.
Now, I know at Zengo you're looking to implement QR codes into your own wallet application. Tell us a little bit about that and any future projects and developments you guys are looking to put out there.
So we are definitely going to put QR in our application, and I think it's the second most relevant feature request we get from our user. And the first one is an Android version, and of course we're working full steam on both of them, and I believe that very soon we'll have that implemented into our wallet. And beside that, we would probably add some more coins support to our wallet. Just recently, we had announced our support for the Libra testnet. And I think it's very interesting. You can see in Libra results, the testnet result in the Explorer, that since Zengo was launched, so before that, people would just, I don't know why, would mint because it's free. It's like free money. Currently, testnet has no value, and would just try to have billions and billions of Libra for some reason. And since we launched Zengo support for Libra testnet, we can see that right now it's around 50-50. People are minting and then transferring them to their friends. And I think it's important in the sense of, we talked about onboarding and mass adoption. So Libra is a very modern blockchain. You know, settlement on the blockchain are very rapid. There is no, like in Bitcoin, you have to wait 10 minutes for confirmation. And it's just rapid, and people can onboard and try something, a cryptocurrency that made it to the main use, and see it's not that scary. It doesn't bite you. You can transfer it to your friend and see, and your friend gets it right away, and you are acquainted with new concept as a new user, such as Explorer and confirmation. And I think it's, again, we are very interested in on onboarding new users and creating a welcoming experience. And I think this is something that really helps users to get into crypto. Just starting with something that you cannot lose anything because it's not worth anything, but we can see people start with Libra, playing with that, and say, okay, I get it. It's not that complex. Now I will buy some real coins such Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance, and we actually see that in our wallet, and people buying from our wallet and starting with Libra and moving on to another coins. You can say it's kind of a gateway drug in a sense.
I hope it leads people to better places than other gateway drugs have. But certainly I appreciate the metaphor, a good development access, and as you say, that critical infrastructure to get people on board, to get people accessible, and that's such an important part of developing the ecosystem in the sphere. Tal, I want to thank you so much for your important research here on this particular topic. Look forward to seeing what comes in the future. And in the meantime, stay with us at BLOCKTV.com for all the latest in news and information. I'm Asher Westrop Evans. Thanks for watching.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.